I'm not gonna make chat look perfect, so for now that's good enough. No! I still didn't put the chest on here, Zoe. I'm sorry. Thank you so much for the bits. I need to do that. Switching between layouts messes with that. Alright, so... let's see, guys. Let's do a review here. Why this song? Why this song? Whatever. It'll work. Alright, was this spoiler free? Yeah, we made it through spoiler free. Alright, music rating. Okay, so this game had okay music here and there. There were some songs that I was humming to. The world theme for a while and stuff like that was really good. Some of the music just dragged on for a little bit too long and didn't have a lot going on with it. So I'd say it is, you know, about average, a couple above average songs. I did really like the ending theme there when the, you know, the credits were playing and when they were talking about, like, us having to repopulate the Earth and stuff like that. But overall, it was pretty mediocre music. But since I did like some of it and it wasn't terrible and things like that, I think I'm going to give it a 6. It's either a 5 or a 6 for me. It wasn't completely terrible. You know, when I look at the stuff that I gave a 6, Blue Dragon, Grand Stream Saga, and things like that, yeah, I'm going to go with a 5 or 6 for this, and we'll just go with a 6. How are you doing, Watashi? Alright, graphics for the era. I really like the graphics in this game for the characters and sprites and stuff like that. They were really well done. They were really unique. I don't really know too much about the era when it came to, like, sprite-type graphics, because this is when people are trying to switch games into more of the, like, 3D and stuff like that. But if I were to compare it to something like Grandia, I'd say that the sprites did a pretty good job of showing different expressions and stuff like that for at least some of them. So I think it was pretty good. The cinematics and stuff like that were like really goofy and weird. I don't even know why those were needed to maybe make it like more epic and stuff like that, I guess, but it really didn't do a whole lot for me. Like, the map designs and stuff like that were okay. The dungeons and layouts and stuff were a little bit annoying overall, but they were pretty cool aesthetics and things like that. The sprite work for the spirits, though, are some of the weirdest thing I saw. Like, the sprite works for the characters are really, really well done, and then you got, like, the spirits, these elements that you have to go and get, and they just look like these really weird, goofy-looking creatures. So I'm going to say it was about, you know, a 6 or a 7 in that regard, so I'm going to give that a 6 as well. I think that there's some PlayStation games that I see as a lot better graphically than that, but the sprites definitely made it rise a lot higher than I would have given it. Alright, the story. The story was really, really, like, sad most of the time, almost morbid a majority of the time. It's just, you know, constant people death, no happiness, everything's a struggle, and then the end of the game, it's like, okay, you saved the world. All you did was give the survivors hope. Congratulations. You survived Armageddon, and now you get to repopulate the Earth. GG, you did a good job. I don't know if there's multiple endings to the game. Maybe if you do all the side quests and stuff like that, it's possible. I've got no clue. But it was just like, yeah, every single villain was just like, I'm going to do the worst possible thing I can do in this situation, period. So, but it wasn't a terrible story. It really wasn't. It just didn't have a whole lot to keep me, like, focused on it and wanting to do it. The stuff between Ark and things like that, and Elk and Liza, and actually, like, where they came from and everything else, they just completely went off base when Ark joined the group, and then it just became, like, the Ark show again. So I don't understand the point of why they did this, why they made me struggle through the game with so many less characters, then all of a sudden it throws me, with all the characters at the same time. and then it just kind of like switches where it's going completely. It was a little bit ridiculous in that regard. So I'm gonna say that this was probably, it was just a basic storyline, a basic average storyline with like really bad villains that were all essentially the same type of villain. Like no one had any type of character. They were different. Everyone wanted the world to be destroyed for some reason. It didn't really make too much sense. So I'm going to go with it being average and things like that. I'm going to give it a 5. Now the mechanics rating. Although the stuff that I didn't understand too much about the game, the tactics and things like that in the game were really interesting. There was a whole bunch of different characters that had different abilities. You had items that you could combine and items that you could level up. You could even level up healing items and stuff like that. And like it had so much going for it. It really hung true to what a tactics type game is, and I liked the element of going through dungeons and stuff like that and getting into random battles, but I don't think that some of the stuff was very well explained. Like what abilities actually did. Like when it says weakens the enemy, does it weaken their defense? Does it weaken their attacks? Does it make them slower? All this different type of stuff. A lot of stuff just wasn't explained whatsoever. And then we got to the point where it was a battle in almost every single room. And yeah, although I could have done every single battle, it took a while. And yes, that was a very good pun, Zoe. But overall, it was a really solid game for a tactics game. I kind of wish more games did things like that. Maybe just take out a few of the battles, or at least make it just a few less enemies. Like 2 or 3 enemies pop up on the screen. You can kill them quickly, rather than making every single map have like 8 to 9 enemies, which forces you to want to use AoE almost all the time. And if you don't use AoE, like, you have to hope your melee characters don't die on the fact that every single character can counter. So I feel like they had a lot of really good ideas with this game, and they took, like, tactics elements further than a lot of other games had, but then it just started to do it a bit too much with everything. Every enemy could counter, even my healer could counter almost every single attack. Every enemy countered and did massive amounts of damage, so you had to be ready to heal your person even if you were just going in to deal damage. And to me, that made it so it wasn't so much that I was actually like thinking tactically, I was just thinking, please enemies stack up together so I can kill you as quickly as possible. And I'd say that that's one of the biggest flaws in the game. Yeah, I would say that every character can become usable, which is something that's pretty rare. Shining Force was kind of the same way. You had really strong characters as long as you gave them some time. But overall, the mechanics were the most solid point of this game. And I'm gonna have to give it a 7 or an 8. I'd like to see more stuff like this in the game, and just it not be overdone as much as it was in this. So I'm gonna give it a 7 here. I'm gonna say that was definitely the strongest point of this game. Alright, so grinding. I didn't really grind. There was one time I did, and I avoided all the quests, and we beat it. So yes, I had the ability to beat the game without grinding. However, I would consider that pretty cheesy, what I did. And I don't even think there should be like a mechanic in the game to have a boss like that in the first place. And I didn't even get into that with the mechanics, that the boss had 9,999 HP, because part of that is because I did not level. So that's on me. That's why that experience was so much harder on that boss. But even still, that was terrible boss design for the final boss. But you can't take away from everything else in the game. But I'm gonna say if you really want to play this game and you really want to do something, you're gonna have to grind quite a bit. So I'm gonna give it a pretty low number here. I'm gonna say I'll give it about a 4, because that final boss fight's just ridiculous if you're not grinded. But you can beat it if you need to. So what does that give me overall? Where's my calculator at? I don't feel like doing math right now. Yeah, we're saying that we're gonna give this a 7 because the grinding rating doesn't do too much to it, a 6 or a 7. So I'm gonna say we'll give this a 6. I do hold it up pretty significantly to, what I thought of Suikoden, and how, like, Suikoden redid a lot of stuff and did stuff too much, but I liked aspects of it and things like that. So I really do look at it kind of like Suikoden in that regard. And it's a game that I'm not going to want to replay. It didn't touch me as much as, you know, other games did. Alright, let me switch back here. And let you guys do a vote. And then we'll get the raffle going. Hopefully I set that up properly. It was being done for me for a while, so hopefully I didn't mess anything up. It's pretty easy to set up, but you can click the wrong link by accident. That definitely happens. Alright, let me get the raffle started. And I'll keep an eye on the results. Alright, what do we got here? Got 3, 4, 5, 9. Alright, looks like you guys were in agreement with me there. You guys gave it a 6.2. And I'll always round up even if it's not actually rounding, so we'll give it a 6.5. Yeah, I don't know that I'd call it a 4. I'd say that it's above average for a game. I really would say that it's above average. I can't really see aspects that are below average. So I think it's... Alright guys, get ready there. Get ready to spam. Alright guys, keep typing it in, even if you typed it once there. It wasn't picking stuff up properly at first, so please, if you've already typed it, do type it again. Again, if anyone's new to the channel that hasn't seen anything that I've been doing here, at the end of every game that I complete, I have a raffle, and you guys get to pick the next one that we play. The next JRPG that we play, rather. So make sure that everyone got in here. Oops. That wanted to. Nakurdi not entering. Nakurdi is free to enter as well. Everyone's got equal right to win as many times as possible. Alright, we'll give it about another minute here, so anyone that hasn't entered that might want the chance of picking a JRPG, I highly recommend just typing in the word raffle, and you'll be entered. And you have just as much chance as everyone else. I feel bad. I think Overhunter missed it by just a little bit. Alright guys, we'll give it another 10 seconds. And hopefully you guys got some games ready. Alright. Good luck, everyone. Haha, Deformed! Congratulations, man! You won. Never lucky. Aw, man, there's gonna be a lot of raffles. I do not remember what you want me to play, Zandog. I just read that name again. So you are going to have to remind me. Oh yeah, I forgot to go over if I'd replay it or not. You're gonna have to remind me there, Zandog. Ugh, God damn it, deformed. Don't say you're not lucky, Zandog. You got me. You're stuck in my head now. You say it's quite rigged. Oh yeah, that's right. Golden Sun is what you wanted me to play. Haha. I love that game. It's been a long time, though, since I played it. Alright, so let's get some of this stuff done here. Would I replay this game? No. I do not want to replay it. I've got no interest in replaying it. I might, like, watch it to see if there's, like, something else to see, but no, I'm definitely not going to replay it. And we beat this on June 10th, so 10 June 2017. And how long did it take us? I can't see my, timer there. 41, 59, 20. Not too bad overall. Alright, I can make this green. I think it's this one. Yes, okay. So, next game, game number 13, is Golden Sun. You specifically want the first one, right? I don't know how you missed it, Travis. Golden Sun is picked by Deformed. Effect Totem. I have played this game before. I can't remember if I've beaten it or not. So no, it's not my first time played.